welcome to the Council of Graduate Schools and the National Name Exchange webinar on REUs and U, Why Research Experiences for Undergraduates Matter for Graduate School. My name is Matthew Linton. I'm the Senior Manager for Programs and Publications at the Council of Graduate Schools, and I also direct the National Name Exchange. A few meeting logistics today before we get started with the presentations. So a reminder that this meeting is being recorded, and the recording as well as the slides will be made available to NNE enrollees as well as NNE coordinators. Please submit questions for the speakers at the Q&A button in your toolbar. You can submit questions throughout the presentations, but we're only going to be answering questions during the designated Q&A period at the end of all of today's presentations. For those of you that submitted questions ahead of time, thank you. We've added those questions into the beginning, and so we'll be kicking off the Q&A period by answering some of those pre-submitted questions. After today's event, you're going to have the opportunity to complete a survey about today's webinar, and we really appreciate it if you would complete the survey because it provides us with guidance about the other sorts of materials that you would like to see offered by the National Name. A brief overview of today's meeting. Today's meeting is going to be an hour in duration. It's going to begin with a brief introduction from me of the topic as well as the speakers, and then followed by presentations from Janet Rutledge, Kelsey Briggs, and Katarina Friedman, who are all here today. Then we're going to follow that with moderated Q&A with the presenters, and then we're going to close with a brief conclusion and some upcoming events and resources. A few learning goals today. I always like to start off our webinar with what we're hoping to take away from today's meeting. I've got 5 learning goals for today's webinar. The first is to help us understand what research experiences for undergraduates, or REUs, are, and how they differ from other undergraduate research opportunities. The second is to find out if REUs are available on your campus, and then if so, how to apply for those opportunities. The third is thinking about how REU sites work, and how you might decide on choosing an REU versus another resume building opportunity like volunteering, internships, additional courses. The fourth is learning about how graduate programs value REUs and how they prepare you for graduate study. And then finally, we'll briefly have a bit of a discussion about some other research opportunities for undergraduates that may be beyond the REUs that we talk about today, particularly the REU sites. So if they're not available, either because you have other commitments or if they're not prevalent in your field. So brief introduction about today's presenters. So we have 3 presenters for today's meeting, and I will introduce them now in the order of their presentation. We're going to begin with a presentation from Dr. Janet Rutledge, who is the Dean Emerita of the Graduate School at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, where she served as Vice Provost and Dean from 2009 to 2024. She currently serves as Dean in Residence at the Council of Graduate Schools and is a Fellow at the American University Center for University Excellence. Previously, she was a Program Director for the National Science Foundation's Graduate Research Fellowships and Research Experiences for Undergraduate Sites programs. Dr. Rutledge earned her BS in Electrical Engineering from the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and her MS and PhD in Electrical Engineering from the Georgia Institute of Technology. Her presentation will be followed by Kelsey Briggs. Kelsey is the Director of Programs and Strategic Initiatives for the Data Science Program at Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Her responsibilities include serving as the graduate coordinator, working with the program head on grant-funded projects, supporting faculty and students, and collaborating with the program manager. She provides administrative oversight for the NRT CEDAR project, an interdisciplinary program that seeks to transform the next generation of technical leaders equipped with data science techniques and methods ready to solve critical engineering and science problems. In addition, she's the co-PI for Data Science Research Experience for Undergraduate Students REU, sponsored by the National Science Foundation. This has been operating since 2016. The DSREU offers students from geographically diverse institutions access to vibrant scientific research projects and undergraduate mentorship. The students working with WPI faculty, graduate students, and peer students learn state-of-the-art data science techniques and technologies, including machine learning, artificial intelligence, and big data technologies. Kelsey holds a Doctorate of Education in Higher Education Administration from Northeastern University, where she also received her Master of Education in Higher Education Administration. She also has a Master of Business Administration and Certificate in Organizational Leadership from the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth, which is also where she earned her Bachelor of Science degree. We're going to close with a presentation from Katarina Kushner-Friedman. Dr. Katarina Kushner-Friedman is Assistant Research Professor of Physics at WPI, where her work bridges optical spectroscopy, nanomaterials, and physics education. Her research focuses on ultrafast optical and THC spectroscopy of bio and nanomaterials for applications in photonics, renewable energy, and therapeutics. She also designs and teaches introductory physics courses, incorporating physics education research to create integrated, hands-on learning experiences. Dr. Kushner-Friedman earned her PhD in physics from WPI, investigating carrier dynamics in 2D materials. She completed postdoctoral research at the University of Vermont, where she built and operated advanced spectroscopy systems to study nanoscale interactions. Her background also includes a strong foundation in theoretical physics, with MS and BS degrees from Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv. She's passionate about early undergraduate research and fostering inclusive, experiential learning environments. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to our first presenter, Dr. Janet Rutledge. Janet. Janet, you're on mute saying that.
How many years have we been doing this? Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to give an overview of research experiences for undergraduates, and that's a term that is used at the National Science Foundation, but also at some other funding agencies, and because it's very descriptive of the kinds of things that we're talking about. Okay, but before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about what the purpose is of a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a PhD. And this is going to be an oversimplified explanation, but I think that it helps to think about that. And because then when we talk about the research experiences and why graduate schools value them, it might be a little bit clearer. So first of all, let's start with a bachelor's degree. So when I graduated, the commencement speaker said something to the effect, congratulations, you just spent 4 years learning how to learn. And we all groaned and thought that was terrible. And then later in life, I realized how profound that was. Because once you've learned how to learn, you can do pretty much anything. The foundation that you get in and the reason that you have to take classes from so many different disciplines is because you never know what it is that you're going to encounter. So learning how to learn, learning how to think, learning how to analyze and synthesize ideas, learning how to communicate, etc. All of these things are really foundational for anything that you're going to do for the rest of your life. So with all that learning and learning how to learn and all of that, why would you need any more education? Well, it turns out that a master's degree that is very aptly named gives you a more in-depth set of knowledge in one or more areas. And it may include a thesis or it may not include a thesis. A lot of that is discipline specific. In some disciplines, they really encourage the thesis. In others, they're much more interested in having you get additional coursework and do project work. But with a master's degree, you get a much more mature understanding of what your discipline is all about. And you are often able to be able to lead projects much more quickly than if you just had a bachelor's degree. And finally, a PhD degree really trains you to be a researcher. How do you do research in your discipline? How do you contribute new knowledge to your field? Because that's really what it's all about. And whether you do that in an academic setting as a faculty member or at a research lab or a company, really having that foundation of understanding how you go about doing research is what it's all about. So with that in mind, let's talk about some of the just what research experiences for undergraduates are. So first, I'm going to talk about what I call group experiences. These are experiences where they're formal programs. They bring together a group of students, often in the order of 8 to 10 students, sometimes more, sometimes less. that will work on a research project in areas related. All of the students will be working in a related area, and you'll hear about some of those that are going on at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, that are supervised by faculty, and often you have an opportunity to work alongside with graduate students. They can be at a university, and most often they are at a university. It can be at your own university or another university. The projects that are supported by the National Science Foundation actually encourage universities to bring in students who are not from their home university. And that gives you an opportunity to see what's going on in another place. But there are also REU programs that are done at government agencies such as NIH, NIST, NASA, and later on I'll offer links to several of those sites. Most of them are during the summer, although they can be at other times of the year, and they provide a stipend and housing. And it varies based on, the amount that they provide and what the housing situation is. Sometimes you get to live on campus in campus apartments. Sometimes it's off campus. And so it really varies pretty widely. One important aspect is that they often include professional development activities so that you learn about applying to graduate school, you learn about writing, you learn about many of the professional skills that you need to be successful. And on top of that, there's fun things too, right? Because having community building activities can really help you bond with the group and be more effective at doing the research. But there are also individual experiences, and these are experiences that can be during the summer or during a semester at school. And you are, again, working with a faculty member, sometimes with graduate students, on a project. And this is often at your home university. So NSF funds REU supplements. Any faculty member who has an NSF grant can apply and get a supplement to it. Many other agencies also do similar kinds of things for their grants. And so because they provide supplements, you can often be paid a stipend for doing the work. Or sometimes you can get credit towards your degree, like signing up for a research class or independent study. And so the individual ones give that more flexibility. Sometimes they bring all of the students who are doing individual experiences together. So at my home university, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, there are activities that are for all of the students that are doing research during the summer, all of the undergraduates doing research during the summer, whether they're doing individual projects with a faculty member or they're on one of the funded group REU activities. And that really builds a nice community across the campus, across all disciplines. So why are these valuable? It gives you an introduction to the process of doing the kinds of research that you do in graduate school. When people are thinking, do I want to go to graduate school? What is it like? Having an REU experience gives you an opportunity to see what it's like and to see what the graduate students do. And if you are a curious person, which I hope you are, you will find out about what's going on in some of the other labs that are on the campus, whether it's your home campus or another campus. As with some of the other kinds of internship experiences, you do get to work on an open-ended problem and to contribute to a research project. But you will learn the difference between doing research and doing what might be called advanced development because of the more cutting edge of the kinds of work that you're doing versus something that is just doing an incremental activity if you're like doing an internship at a company. And it's really important to get exposure to the research that's going on in an academic department to learn what you like to do and what you don't like to do. So if you have a research experience and you say, oh, I didn't like that and I don't want to ever do it again, that's really valuable to know that because it sounded interesting enough for you to sign up for it. But getting to know exactly what the research is about can be really, really helpful to you. Okay. The nuts and bolts. when you're working on your application, if you've looked at essays that you have to write for graduate school or for fellowships, they often want you to write a research plan that describes what topics you're interested in working on, but they also want to know why. And if you've had an REU experience, you can say, I worked on this, it was really interesting. This is what I learned, and I want to do more. Or I was at this university and I had this experience, but I was also exposed to this other work that is far more fascinating. They want to know why, not just that you randomly thought of something and just decided to write about it. And they want to know about your past research experiences and what you learned, what you contributed. And so you have something valuable to put in the essays. Letters of recommendation are really important for your applications. And if you've worked alongside a faculty member doing these research projects that are open-ended, you get a really valuable letter of recommendation from someone who knows what it takes to be successful in graduate school, right? So if you're working in industry, you may or may not be working with someone who who has been to graduate school and knows what it takes. And so their letter might not be as valuable as it is coming from another faculty member who knows what it takes to be successful and can talk about the work that you've done. And that's far more valuable than the kind of letter that someone could write that said, the person was in my class and did well and got a good grade, but they don't really know you. And during doing a research project allows a faculty member to really get to know you. And finally, some of the studies that have shown of why these are valuable is that as undergraduates, because you don't focus in on your discipline that much, some graduates don't really feel connected to their discipline, but those who have had a research experience feel much more connected. And we found that they have higher rates of completing their bachelor's degree and even going on to graduate school. There are lots of ways that you can find out about REU opportunities. One of the best sources is talking to faculty at your university. They can tell you about group and individual activities that are going on campus. They often know of activities going on at other universities because they talk to their peers who are at other universities. The National Science Foundation has 2 search opportunities for finding out about research projects that they've funded. And you can sort by discipline, by location, etc., so that you can find a project that's right for you. Most of them many have not been posted yet because they have not opened up their application period yet. So if you look now and you don't see anything, don't be discouraged, but do look early in the year because most of the deadlines close in the January to March timeframe, I think is what's most typical. There are programs at various federal agencies like the SURF program at the National Institute of Standards and Technology. There are many summer programs at NIH where you get to work alongside the researchers there, the same with NASA. And most of the ones that I've listed so far are in STEM disciplines. The Smithsonian has projects across all disciplines and including humanities and social science areas. And these are really interesting opportunities that you can also continue with in graduate school. And it's an excellent way. Most people think of the Smithsonian as a museum, but all of the museums have a research base behind them. Okay, some things to keep in mind. Ask questions, understand the why. Why are you doing the work? Why is this the approach? And not just understanding what you have to do and what are the steps that you have to do. Learn about the variety of projects that are going on in the lab, not just the one that you're working on, because this is such a valuable opportunity to find out what areas you like most, areas you don't like most, what areas that you don't like and you want to steer away from. And these are important whether you go to graduate school or if you're just seeking a job, because there's such a broad swath of areas that are available to you. One of my favorite quotes is opportunity is where luck meets preparation. And, you know, people get lucky all the time, but if they're not prepared, then they can't take advantage of the opportunity. And, I'm a fan of the One Piece anime. And a great example is, they're floating around in the ocean and luck, things come up all of the time. And sometimes they're prepared and sometimes they're not prepared. And, Luffy is smart enough to realize when he's underprepared and he goes back and gets more training so that he can maximize that opportunity. Have fun, right? These are what we call your good old days, and you'll be looking back on these days. So while you're doing all of the things that are trying to build your resume and uh, get you ready for your applications, it's still important to have fun and do things that you enjoy and keep your eyes on the prize for what it is that you're trying to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Kelsey?
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share my slides. Okay, can you see my slides okay?
Still loading up. Okay, there you go.
Okay. So hi everyone, my name is Kelsey and I oversee the co-PI for the Applied AI for Advanced Applications at Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Worcester, Massachusetts. And for those of you who don't know where Worcester is, we are located about 50 minutes outside of Boston, and we truly are located in the central part of Massachusetts. So we're about an hour from New Hampshire, an hour and a half to the Cape, about 50 minutes to Providence, Rhode Island. So when you're here on campus with us, there's lots of opportunity to get out and explore the other great parts of New England. So we always like to highlight that. So we have been successfully operating this site since 2016, and we are in year 3 of our current proposal, and we typically renew those every year if possible. And we've been very fortunate to be able to do so so far. We offer a 10-week, all expenses paid research experience. We typically start around May 25th, so right after the holiday, and end on the first weekend of August. And our site is led by faculty member Elke Rudensteiner. She is the founding head of the data science and AI programs here at WPI, and she's also the founder of the first in the nation PhD program in data science. Ben Nagan also is a co-PI on our site along with myself. Our site involves faculty experts and graduate student mentors who oversee the research teams, and the teams can vary from anywhere from 3 to 9 teams depending on how many applications are part of our site for that year. The REU itself supports 10 students, but then if faculty members within our area have supplemental applications or other funding sources, we support those students as well. So our sites typically range from 10 students to 27-ish students, depending on the year. Part of our REU, we offer industry visits and professional development opportunities, and I'll get more into this later. But we have a very strong network within our advisory board through the data science and AI programs. So we often have industry visits with Microsoft, MathWorks, and MITRE, and some other great technical companies within the area who come in and talk to our students about the various career pathways and how they got to where they were in their career. And professional development opportunities, we offer a weekly rotation specific to our program. And then there's a second program that's offered campus-wide called SPUDS, which is the Summer Development Professional Development Series. And our students are encouraged to go to those as well. So there's 2 opportunities every single week for professional development. And then our site at the end of 10 weeks concludes with an all REU site poster symposium. So any undergraduate summer research experience has the opportunity to attend this. And last year, I think we had around 250 participants. And that's a great chance for you to be able to present your research to the community and get a little bit of experience in the presentation atmosphere. In addition, depending on your research team, there are opportunities to present or publish in professional journals and conferences. So depending on what your output is from the summer, you have the opportunity with your faculty mentor. To talk a little bit about the stipends, travel, housing, and meals, our stipend is $8,400 over the 10-week period, paid out in $840 per week, which is paid out biweekly. This includes the $700 in weekly participation stipend, along with a $140 meal allowance. And we also offer up to $700 in reimbursement for travel expenses to and from WPI. So that's essentially your arrival to the site and then your departure from the site. And in addition, our program pays for LEED Gold certified housing, and this just means that the housing is green and sustainable for on-campus residents during the 10-week experience. And we pay for this out of the program. So just a quick RU at a glance. These are some of our participants from over the years, but students perform research in artificial intelligence and data science, focusing on challenges in areas critical to societal impact. And this can include anywhere from digital health, fake and biased information detection, to critical resource prediction. And again, the topics vary every single year based on what the faculty mentor is researching at the time. So you would be supporting that faculty member and potentially their PhD student mentor on what their project and research goals are. It's a very hands-on experience as well. Eligibility. So in order to participate in our REU, you must be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. There are no exceptions due to the federal funding restrictions. In addition, you must be enrolled in a degree program. This is part-time or full-time, leading to a bachelor's or associate's degree. Students who transfer from one college to another or enrolled during the summer may participate, and high school graduates who've been accepted to an undergraduate institution but have not yet started attending are also eligible. And more information about our eligibility requirements can be found on our website, which I'll link later. But as long as individuals meet this criteria and they're interested in data science, then this would be a good fit for you. And we do encourage everyone to apply, including from any racial and ethnic background, any gender, persons with disabilities, veterans, and students from all socioeconomic status communities. Our application is hosted on ETAP, which Janet had mentioned earlier is the NSF Education and Training application. You can access the application directly from ETAP itself or through our website, which is linked below. And our application name and number is listed there. It's the REU site, Applied Artificial Intelligence for Advanced Applications, under the number 2349370. So again, all this information can be found on our website. Tentatively, we're opening our applications in early January 2026, and the application period will close mid-February. And then for status updates and to learn more, visit our website. If you have any questions about our REU, feel free to contact us at datascience@wpi.edu. Myself and two of my colleagues monitor this email account, so you'll receive a response back from us pretty quickly. But we're happy to answer any questions that you might have or talk to you a little bit more about the program. And that is my spiel on the AI REU site here at WPI. Let me just stop share. Thank you.
Now, Katerina.
Okay. So, okay. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
So, I'm also from Worcester Polytechnic Institute, as Kelsey is, and I'm running a different REU. And it's a STEM REU between multiple disciplines, and it's relatively new REU. It's Center for Early Research Experiences in Functional Materials. So let me go over it. I prepared it in the same way as Kelsey, so we have from the same institution, similar idea. It's again the same 10 weeks for all expenses paid research experience, which have the same starting dates as May 25, 2026 until August, it's tentatively 1st, 2026. I am a PI in this REU, as well as there is a co-PI, Professor Titova, who is going to be able to help and advise us you throughout if you apply for this program. Additionally, we have a lot of senior personnel from different departments. I'm talking about departments such as chemistry, chemical engineering, material science, mechanical engineering. As you notice, the topic of my review is the functional materials, and the idea is to have interdisciplinary research between different groups to collaborate and create something new and apply. One of the things that changes in our review, we are requiring all REU participants to apply for MRS Boston meeting in fall, which is usually the first week after Thanksgiving. We believe that this allows you not only to have a good experience in writing abstract to professional conference, but also if you get accepted, we will pay for your participation fee and travel fee to the conference where you can experience in full scale research conference. Additionally, all REU students have an opportunity to present at WPI. As Kelsey has already mentioned, there is a side poster symposium, which usually at the end of the REU, where you have an opportunity to present what you've done. Again, same way, depending on the PI and group where you work in and at what stage, there might be opportunity to publish and present in other additional conferences depending on your PI funds. So in our case, we have $7,000 stipend, which is paid over 10 weeks. $700 per week, which paid bi-weekly participation. And we have up to $1,500 reimbursement in travel expenses to and from WPI, which includes MRS registration, transportation, hotel, food, and etc. We also participate in campus residence housing, which pays directly from the program. However, I will mention, as you notice, that in current situation, $1,500 is not enough to cover all travel expenses. We are really encouraging students we are really focusing on central, New England. And specifically, we are focusing on new and early experience for local colleges, four-year colleges, community colleges, and other four-year institutions. So basically, we are trying to be more local, just to cover more for our students. Here is one of the photo shoots from this last year, this summer, where you can see that all the students were presenting at the symposium at WPI at the end of the REU. And most of the students were working in teams. So, for example, you will be working on the same project, but tackling it from different teams, like interdisciplinary research. Let me give you an example of different projects, like functional nano and biomaterial composites for optical and biomedical applications. This topic required collaboration between bio side and physics, for example. In one case, someone is making biomaterial and another side is testing and trying to together uncover the properties of and applications for those materials. Or, for example, using quantum sensing and optical tools to understand current flow in our materials. Similar idea, someone is testing, another person is trying to make new nanomaterials that they are going to be tested or printed. Like two-dimensional nanomaterials and their physical properties, modeling and experiments, for example. A combination of someone is testing, doing analysis, growing materials, and another side is modeling or conducting experiments. Two-dimensional materials for flexible electronics, a similar idea, and there always should need a necessity in two sides. In one case, making materials, in another case, testing, and on and on. These are just examples. They are not limited to what exactly gonna happen. And that's kind of the flexibility which will need to be adjusted every year. And we cannot, to be frank, tell in advance what kind of opportunities will be happening next year. We can give the general direction, what can you do, but we cannot specify specifically. And I will say another thing, that sometimes when you work in experimental labs, one experiment might fail and you might need to switch experiments throughout, which is completely fine and normal, but you need to be prepared for that. And that's actually can be a great result at the end of the day. So please, do not get stressed out when you apply to a program, start working on it, realize that something is not working. Eligibility is the same for all REUs, so I'm gonna skip this slide. I would just emphasize that everyone is encouraged to apply, including from any racial and ethnic backgrounds, gender, persons, disabilities, any from wherever you are coming from. I think it's a great opportunity to try if you never had a research. In our particular case, we're trying to tackle people with little to no prior research experience, to open up this door and to see what's happening behind it. You might not like it, you might fall in love with it. I have some RE students who are still, since we were tackling this year, a local area, a lot that still come sometimes once a week to the lab to do some work because they love their project and want to continue. And usually, if that happens, that can happen a lot for students getting a good contact with their PIs and continue their research throughout the year. Application process. So we are building right now our ETAP site, and this year we're hoping to launch it there, and it will be opening end of December, beginning of January. We are still adjusting the dates, so please keep posted. If you have more questions or want to learn more, we have also our website at nsf-reu wpi.edu. Please take a look, reach out if you have any questions, either to me or my co-PI, and I'm hoping that you will be encouraged to apply. So this concludes my quick spiel about our REU program.
Okay, thank you. So now we are going to move into the Q&A section of today's event. So if you have a question, please do submit it into the Q&A panel. A few folks in the presenters have mentioned ETAP. We will give you a link to ETAP when we send the recording and other information, so you'll be able to go there. So I'm going to start with a couple of the questions that were submitted ahead of time. The first question was, how do we prepare to start doing research if we've never done it? And then what should first-timers expect with an REU or with their first experience doing research? And so, Janet, why don't you start, and then maybe Katerina, you can follow on.
Okay. As you heard from my two colleagues from Worcester Polytechnic Institute, the REU sites are designed for people who are very early on, even from freshman year, who have had no experience. And so part of the REU experience is to give you that preparation so that you can do well. There are some REU sites where they have a focus on people who are more advanced, people who are at the junior or senior year because they need you to have some background information. So the most important thing, I think, is to go on these sites and look to see what kinds of projects there are and start to decide where you want to apply. So it's really that preparation stage, and to find out what is required in the application so that you can start gathering that information together, so that you'll be prepared when the applications do open.
As Janet mentioned, we, for example, in our REU, we want you not to have experience. We want to introduce it. We expect students that coming in are either freshmen or two-year community colleges who haven't done that before. But we also want to ask you a question. What do you want to get from this REU? Why are you trying to do it? And are you looking for research experience? What is your goal here? And that's, I think, the question you need to respond before you try to apply for a REU or any other research experiences. And then basically we will teach you the rest. We will show you what opportunities are there. We will teach you how to do research. We will teach you how to write abstracts, how to present at the conferences. Like at WPI, we have this great program that called SPODS, where we work with students additionally on learning how to do research in the lab, also how to present your research, and how to look for additional research opportunities as well, how to write abstracts, how to present at the conference, and on and on. So don't be discouraged if you also see a REU for more advanced. If you think that the topic is really great and you really want to go into that topic, I think you still should apply. But as Janet mentioned, see what requirements of each REU are there. And most REUs will specify, like my REU specifies that we're focused on early research experience.
Elsie, do you have anything you want to add to the discussion?
Sure, I think they both make great points. Our REU students typically join us as sophomores or juniors, sometimes seniors. I think the juniors find our site more appealing because they have a solid foundation and background within data science and AI, so they're able to utilize that foundation to build and enhance their skills. But again, we look for all types of students, and our program is also interdisciplinary. So we don't want students who are all from computer science or all from data science. We look for a variety of backgrounds. You might be data science interested, but lean more math heavy or more physics heavy or more computer science heavy. And that way, when you're part of the research team, everybody's approaching that problem from a different perspective. So if you're interested in the topic, we definitely encourage you to apply. And I will say, at least for our site, I know many other sites are like this, it is competitive. So apply to more than one site. And if you don't get in that year, apply again the following year and keep trying.
Another question we have is to get into this idea of kind of figuring out your identity and what you like to do. So on Kelsey, you answered part of the question about applying to multiple REUs. If you're a sophomore, is it worth it to try to do multiple REUs over the course of your undergraduate career? Or should you really just focus in on one focus area to enhance your kind of grow your skills throughout multiple years?
If you don't mind, I'll jump in on this because this comes up actually a lot, but it's quite frowned upon or discouraged to participate in more than one REU on the whole because of the way federal funding works. We do have
So are you
students.
talking about more than one REU at a time, or if you do one REU one year and one REU another year?
One REU one year and one REU the other.
Okay.
It happens. I don't think you can participate in more than one REU at a time if you're fully on site. Like at least at ours, you are not allowed to work a second job, or you can take classes at night, but that has to be on your own time. It can't be part of the daytime commitment to the REU. But the from my understanding, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. It's typically encouraged to participate once, and after you've had that one experience, it does happen, students slip through the cracks, but one-time experience.
Well, so I have a slightly different perspective. Maybe you wouldn't do it multiple times at the same location. but I think that many students do find it useful to try a new REU the next year because that gives you exposure to more projects. Now, preference may be given to people who have not had an experience before. And so I think look at the variety of experiences that are available to you besides the NSF-funded REU sites. Because there are some students who are able to do a research experience of some sort every summer. And some alternate with a position, a summer internship at a company just to get to experience research and to experience what it's like in the company. And sometimes after doing an REU site, you might be able to get an individual research experience with a faculty member. So I encourage you to get involved in activities each summer because that's a really prime time to help you be able to see what it is that you like and what you don't like.
Katerina, do you want to jump into the conversation or move to the next question?
Let's go to the next question because I think Kelsey and Janet covered good points.
That builds a little bit on what Janet was saying. So when applying to graduate school, how valuable is industry experience through internships, other experiential opportunities, compared to research experience? And I'm sure there's some, you might want to talk about some field level differences, but how is that perceived, that research experience versus internship industry experience? Janet, why don't we start with you?
Sure. I think that the most important thing is that you've had an opportunity to work on a topic that is undefined, right? So when you're taking classes, even when you're doing projects in a class, typically the solution is already known. It might not be known to you, but it's already known. And you've heard, I think it was Katerina who said that sometimes things don't work out. And that's part of the research experience. And so having that opportunity to work on something where people don't know the answer and you get exposed to the whole process of doing research will help you when it comes time to answering the question, why do you want to go to graduate school, right? So ultimately, it's not going to be very successful if you say, I want to go to graduate school because I love learning and I want to continue learning, or you're thinking to yourself, I'm hedging my bets if I don't get a job that I like. Having the research experience lets you know whether you actually do like it and why you like it, and it gives you something to write about. And even if you are not in love with the project that you did and aren't saying that I want to spend the rest of my life doing it, having had an experience gives you something to write about and demonstrates that you understand what you're committing to, right? So if you say, I want to do this, and here is the experience that I've had that helps me to know that I want to do this, it will be a far more powerful application than if it's all just in my mind, it sounded interesting from what I've heard, but I haven't had a chance to experience it yet.
Katerina, as a faculty member, what do you think about that balance between research experience going into grad school versus industry experience?
This is a very good question, to be frank. I think for me personally, research experience is a little bit more important than industry, but it doesn't mean that I would discourage people who have industry experience to go into research. It could go both ways. Basically, you tried industry and you realize that research is something you have more preference to. But maybe if you go in from industry direct without any research experience right away into PhDs, then I might have questions. Are you ready for that? because in industry it's a little bit different. Yes, Janet. Do you want to?
So I was going to build on what you were saying is that there are research labs that are part of companies.
Yes.
And getting the experience in a corporate research lab can be very, very valuable because they're also working on the open-ended problems and projects. So universities aren't the only place that you can do it. You know, there's government labs, there's corporate research facilities. It's based on the type of internship that you're doing that I think Katerina was explaining so well.
Yeah, I wanted to say that basically question is, did you have any research experience, whether in industry or in academia before? That's because when you do a research experience, in either case, you show your determination, and that's one of the most valuables, that you're willing and interested to learn and work on something hard. Like in PhD, the path is not straightforward. And that's why PhD doesn't take a year or two. That's why it takes at least 4 or 5 years, or even 6 in some cases if you don't have prior masters. And because of that, it's important for me when I'm looking at students who just came from industry where they didn't do any type of research and they want right away to jump into PhD, it raises questions. Why is such a drastic shift? Versus if you had some prior research in either options, of course, that's a valuable experience in either case.
Elsie, did you want to add anything to the discussion?
No, I think just to add, one of the things we like to tell our students when they're considering applying is that an REU is great for many reasons, but ultimately to figure out, do I like research or do I not like research? And if you participate in the REU, it's okay that at the end of that 10-week period or however long you participate, if you decide, wow, this research is not for me, or that research is for me and I would like to pursue this via either a master's degree or a PhD. So whether if you're unsure if you like research, an REU is a great way to kind of help you decipher what that looks like because it gives you a very hands-on approach to helping you make that determination. So if it's something that you're teetering with the idea of pursuing an advanced degree, and you might want to pursue a PhD in the future, having that experience beforehand will certainly help you guide and inform that decision because 5 to 6 years of a PhD program, and it's like a full-time job, if not more, that's a long time to commit to something if you don't like it. So to have that ability to discern whether or not you do or not beforehand is very helpful.
Well, we've got a question from one of the participants, and this might be good for Janet. How a business student with a concentration in finance who's a senior or is about to graduate in 2025 or 2026, what can you do to participate in a research project if you're later on in your grad school career? And maybe an REU isn't a possibility for you.
So if I understand correctly, this is someone who would not be an undergraduate, but might be graduating or a first-year graduate student. I think that there are a number of agencies and nonprofits that are doing good research in various areas. So if you're interested in finance, for example, you can search out opportunities in many of the think tanks that are doing finance, that are providing advice to the government and to the financial sector. You have to look at the areas that you're most interested in, and you can search out those opportunities. I think talking to your faculty member, they can connect you with a number of opportunities. If you're interested in policy kinds of things, there are many opportunities to work through policy Oftentimes the professional societies will sponsor internships for you to get policy experience in your areas. So I think, I would first start with my faculty in the department, but also just do some searching for, you can, sometimes they're generically under internships. So the activities like at NIH, they're called internships, but it's an internship with a researcher so that it really is a research experience. And those are the kinds of things that you might have to look carefully to try to differentiate.
Yeah, I think just to add kind of two quick options. I think one thing would be if you're looking to get some sort of research experience before you leave, talking to your advisor about either an independent study or some sort of other credit bearing opportunity where you should go to them and say, I want to get some research experience as part of this. So I think that that's one option. I think the other one is to look at potential summer research assistantship type opportunities. Sometimes faculty members will take on recent graduates or even undergraduates as kind of research assistants of a sort, not to the graduate student level, but in which you may be able to get some hands-on experience doing research work while also getting some learning. It won't be as learning focused probably as something like an REU that has more of a structure, but yeah. Okay, so we got time for one more question. How does REU research compare to research done by graduate students? So is REU research very similar? What are the differences? How is it kind of preparation versus the actual experience itself? How do those things differ out? Katerina, why don't you start since you're on the faculty side?
Okay, I will say that REU research is actually very compressed in 2 months, or 10 weeks. And during this period of time, all you do is research. So it's generally, yes, it's scaled back research a little bit for undergraduate, but in general amount of work is kind of similar to grad school because what you're working and what you're doing, and actually you're working with grad students. So you are not completely done by yourself. A lot of the times you will have grad student mentor in your case, and you're working together with them. They're learning to teach you, to mentor you. You're learning how to do research in the lab. And frankly, I will say, when I was a grad student and I was a grad student mentor for some of our REU students, it was the same as having a new grad student in the lab who just starting. Same way, same treatment, same approach. So yes, you pretty much get a bite of what is it to be a grad student.
Kelsey, do you want to provide your thoughts?
Sure, I agree with what Katerina is saying. I'd say the level is pretty much on par, but it is compressed because 10 weeks does go by pretty fast. That first week is really about diving in and sort of learning that topic area and doing some literature reviews and research. And then, weeks 2 through 8 is that hands-on experience and trying to find a solution to the problem you are researching. And then weeks 9 and 10 is about getting that paper out, developing your poster presentation, getting ready for the presentation, and then submitting a paper if your team is able to do so to any journals who are accepting papers at that time based on the faculty members' guidance and the graduate student mentor guidance. And so 10 weeks does go by quickly, but depending on the foundational knowledge of the team that is assembled, you can probably get a lot done within that time and really have a meaningful experience. So I agree, completely agree with what Katerina was saying.
And just a quick add, you are part of the team. And so when the graduate students are doing, very, very often there'll be a weekly presentation where someone's giving an update on what's going on. You're part of that. So you're getting the exposure to what the graduate students are doing. You get to see it firsthand. So even if the project that you're able to do and what you're able to accomplish is limited, the exposure to what graduate students are doing is invaluable.
all the time we have for Q&A today. Thank you so much to our three presenters. And I just want to quickly close out with just a couple of final concluding slides. One is a reminder. I know a lot of folks are getting their grad school applications ready right now to look at GradSense, which is a financial education website that the National Name Exchange and Council of Graduate Schools have developed with help from TIAA. It's a free website to use, but it's to help you all get information about making smart financial decisions when applying to graduate school, as well as for budgeting when you're in graduate school. So please do utilize this resource. And then finally, I just want to thank the audience and thank today's presenters for your wonderful presentations. If you have any questions about the National Name Exchange, please don't hesitate to email us. And we'll be contacting you about some future events that will be coming in 2026. It's going to be right around the corner. So thanks again to today's presenters, and we'll see you all at the next National Name Exchange event. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.